Today we are celebrating the 4-year anniversary of Revel in Romance.
So we're here today because it's 4 years since Revel in Romance started as a band.
We played a show in Miami. It was my first time playing a show with Revel in Romance. I had recently joined the band because they just kept on trying out bassists and they couldn't find anybody that had the time or willingness to commit to make this a full-time thing. And I finally got sick of, watching these guys try so hard. So I joined and I was like, listen guys, I'll play with you. If you guys find someone else, so be it. But I'm going to at least learn the songs so that you guys can play shows.
Well, we actually had Remy driving down in the van. He was still learning the songs.
He'd pull out his bass on the way to Miami and just start playing the songs and try to figure it out. And after a while, it was just like, we don't know if this is gonna work.
I think it was 2 practices because I remember I didn't know the songs yet. I had to learn 9 songs or some crap. Rinky-dink amp in there and I'm playing like electric bass in the freaking tour van. So I learned all those songs and then we went down and we played our first show together.
Pretty cool how it all came together actually.
My favorite song.
I have to say that one of my favorite songs is probably...
My favorite Revel song would have to be...
I think the one that touches all points that we have right now is probably Young, because it's very cut and dry, straightforward, everything blends together really well. Then the one that people haven't heard yet, The Rush, I think is also like, that's ultimately my favorite song.
My favorite song that we play, nobody has heard yet, I would say it's Ally. Is my absolute favorite song ever. You guys will get to hear it.
This is the most cliche answer on the planet, as I love all of the songs. If you'd ask me what my favorite lyrical content is, or favorite melody is, I could tell you each different song. But I love each song for what they are. One of my biggest roles in Revel is to be the arranger of the songs. Everyone in the group is a songwriter, but when it comes to deciding how we make that actually flow, they let me kind of start the direction of that. But energy-wise, 4 Minute is one of my favorites.
Moment I think is Smoke and Mirrors, just because I feel like I connect to that song the most, because I'm always coming to the same problem with everybody that I encounter, and I feel like it's just this never-ending story, but it just always makes me feel something, and I really like the music behind it and how it all just, you can just close your eyes and literally feel every word.
I have to say that one of my favorite songs is probably For a Minute. 2 reasons why it's my favorite. One is the actual oomph behind the song. By the time it gets to the end of the chorus, there's just so much power behind it. One of my favorite things is pulling energy from the rest of the band, and that's one of the songs where the band really goes crazy. The second reason for it is that the song's actually about me. Recently went through a divorce, and when that happened, we spent a lot of nights songwriting, talking, and this song kind of formed out of it.
We wrote it at a moment in the band's life is that everything was kind of on this big shift. Mark had found out that his wife was going to be divorcing him, and that was something that didn't just affect him, it affected us. Not only did he have his home life and everything to figure out, but that also directly affected his time that he'd be able to put up with the band, and were we going to have to try to find a different drummer or try to just start a different band. But Mark had leaned on us at that moment rather than push us away, and it made us ultimately closer. So we wrote For a Minute because at this particular time his separated wife and he had kind of come back together and then left again. But For a Minute is written from that perspective of can we just stay like this for a minute.
Just like this for a minute.
The favorite memory of Revel. I feel like everyone is going to talk about Dewey Beach.
A show in Delaware.
One of the funniest memories that I have is a time we were at Dewey Beach in Delaware.
We decided to go out to the beach after a very long weekend of travel. Obviously it's in Delaware, so nobody lives there. And it was just it was just open house, man. There was nobody out there. So obviously, me and Mark got a race. Like, it's the only option, man.
When we were there, Parker had mentioned that Devin was really good at racing. Me, being the egocentric person that I am, challenged him to a foot race.
All right, fine. Let's figure this out. Let's settle this here. So Saxony is our starting point, and I was the finish line about 50 meters out.
Sax was at the front, and she went, go! And me and Mark took off. We started running and stuff like that. But it's dark, you can't see anything.
Devin was on the wet part of the sand, and I was on the dry part of the sand.
It must have been like not even 3 or 4 steps. Mark just eats it, dude. He just hits a dune and just like, woo!
And Devin just kept going. He got all the way to the end, then turned around, and then continued running, and then disappeared.
He did a full-on like roll. Devin comes and he slaps me and he rotates me and then runs back to Mark. I think he actually makes it past Mark into Sax so that he can technically win.
Favorite show?
I'd say my favorite show was probably Summerfest, just because the energy behind the band and wanting to play this huge thing, and it was our first kind of really big experience. It was another season in the band's life where I realized that we're actually doing this well.
The first one that comes to mind is actually the first time we played Warped Tour. I don't even know why, but I think it's so much energy at that show and just feeling like we were all in it and we were all like sweaty and gross and just like having the greatest time. It wasn't the biggest stage we've ever played, but it was the most like fun and the most like memorable to me.
For the last 4 years we've been growing as performers, but in the last year alone we have grown as musicians. The performance of a show is super important to me, just because how different you can be from another act, just the way that you present yourself is huge. This past year we got to play 420 Fest, and we got to do Summerfest, and then we played in LA and in Colorado, and then we got to play this amazing slew of shows for Road to Rue in Athens. And that alone helped us kind of give our leg up in Athens, Georgia, which is known for being like a music town anyways. In Athens, they'll like, oh yeah, you know, the venue's a block away from me, I'll be there in 10 minutes. So for favorite shows, I think our final round in Road to Rue was one of the best performances we've ever put on.
But hearing your music through a PA system in like an amphitheater or music festival setting where there is a wall of sound pumping your music out over this entire park, like Sweetwater 420, Summerfest, Warped Tour, it's intense and it is really cool. Maybe Earth One Studios in Denver, Colorado, in the mountains, private show on a friend of ours' balcony overlooking the mountains, and pretty much there's nobody there. I think we've got like 10, 20 people there. This is like a private thing. It's kind of like a little showcase deal for like just a close group, you know? But there was something special about that.
Attributes of why I love this band, and a lot of that's just the work ethic and the drive that everyone has and the love that everyone has for each other.
It was probably about 2 years of being into the band. We were in Baltimore, and I used to wake up early every morning when we were on tour to just go do some work and get things done. And one morning, Sax actually came down and joined me while I was eating breakfast and working a little bit. It was a cool moment for me because being in the band for 2 years, I knew a lot about what the songs were about, I knew a lot of the stories, but I never really understood the full capacity of it. And for the next hour or two, Saxony and I were just hanging in the hotel lobby, and she told me the stories of every song that she had written, the people that they were about, or the circumstances that they were about, or the situations that they were about. It also helped solidify the idea of why I'm a part of this band. The one thing I find cool about bands that make it this far is, into 4 years, for most bands, that's a tipping point to take a look and say, are we done? or are we going to keep moving forward? I've solidified the idea of, yeah, we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to keep doing great things, and there's no stopping us.